Dr. Bozeman, and I'm going to walk you through how to start putting points on an ArcGIS map. So you'll come to your login screen and get your login information from Dr. Bozeman if you don't have it. So you have your pop-up, your main screen, you go to Map, and the first map that you see is this. So this information here will walk you through the information as well, and I'm going to show you some of the key points that has helped me raise the level of my maps relatively quickly. So we're going to get rid of this real quick and start zooming in, and we are in Connecticut. So I'm going to highlight this, and I'm in New Haven, so I'm going to focus on New Haven and do a quick map around the parks that I like to walk around with in New Haven. And so we have this. We can also put in an address, so let's just put different parks in here. So East Rock, New Haven, Connecticut, and it will throw me right here. And sometimes this search doesn't quite get you to where you want, so you get as close as you can. So I'm going to scale out a little bit. And what's interesting, you can also change the base map. And so if you want no street names, you can choose a light or dark map, and as you get closer, streets will be available as well. If you want to specifically choose streets or imagery, that's also an option. An interesting thing with imagery is if you scale in, so if you zoom in versus zoom out, some of the imagery does change based on when the satellite pictures were taken. So that's kind of an interesting little aside. So let's focus on streets, and I'm going to scale out because there's a few specific parks that I want to put in. So how we first do this, to get back to this legend, we click Details, and we're going to put in some points. And so right now, streets is the base map view is what I have. We call these layers. And I want to add a few points. So with this, we're going to add some map notes, which is basically just points. And so we're going to put New Haven Parks. That's what I want to highlight. So we're going to go Create, and we have all these different options. We can put in areas, we can put in lines. To put in points, stick pins or push pins are the first one you usually want to do. So I'm going to put a pin here, and so I'm just going to highlight and name each one, and then I can also change the symbol if I choose. And so we have all of these different ones. Let's say I want to put in little trees. Okay, and we'll come back and we'll edit these in a minute, but I also want to put in a point in East Rock Park, and then highlight, name each one. East Rock Park. Let's come down here and put one into Lighthouse Park. Okay, Lighthouse Point. Point to Park. Okay, and then we'll do one more right here. I think this is called Bayview. Bayview Park in New Haven. Okay, so we can always undo things if we want. To get rid of this, we remove that and scale back. And now if we click on them, we have each of the name pops up. We have zoom to, edit, and get directions. So we have all of these different points, and so if I zoom out, I can see all the points at once. So let's say I want to edit some of these. Let's do East Rock. So if I want to come in and edit this little pop-up menu, I can click Edit, and so now I have all this information. I can change the name. So what an interesting point I like is to be able to find the website, and this is the website of East Rock Park. I click over here and I copy the website. I can come over here and say East Rock. I can highlight this and actually create a URL which will connect to that information. And so within maps in particular, you cannot upload any information, but you can link to it, which is nice. And an interesting little point is how to put in an image URL. So you come over here, any image that is already online, you can actually right click on it and come up with this little menu, and then click Image Copy Image Location. And you go over here and click Paste, and so now that information is linked within that. And so I can close this and see what I have. So the image is linked. I have the little link to the outside website if I want, and some interesting little points that might pop up. So we have all of these little points, and we can change these as we choose to. So let's go ahead and change Edgerton Park, show you one more time how to do that. So we can take the link and make a little Edgerton Park, make a hyperlink through here, and then set it. And then again, if I want to link to a certain image, let's use this one, right click, click copy image location, put the image here, and then click close. And so if I click on this now, this is my image location that pops up. We can also get different information. So what has just happened is that we now have these points on a completely new layer within a New Haven Parks layer. I can add more points if I want and create more layers. So if I click here, an interesting thing is I can now get directions. And so say I am somewhere nearby and I want to find directions to this place. So this is my A that pops up, and say I'm in East Rock and I'm in Edgerton and I want to go to East Rock. I can click this and it will give me certain directions. I can click down here and change walking time. I can determine how long it's going to take me and specific directions based on where I am. So that's nice. If I zoom in, I can get more specific information around this. Other points to show you are that you can start to measure different aspects within each map. So when I click on this, the area is highlighted. And to estimate the area, you just click on points, and so you start to get this line. And to finish off your area, you just double click. And so double clicking, I can pull this around and it doesn't follow me. So this is about 1.1 square miles. I can also get directions just on lengths. And so I'll double click and do that. If I want to get multiple different links, I just keep going and then I don't double click until I'm done. And so that's about 0.86 miles. This will give me different aspects of latitude and longitude. So if I click here, I can tell whether I am increasing my longitude or latitude, which is kind of interesting points if you're starting to learn about geography. So you can also, if you want to, let's change the base map just a little bit so you can kind of get a different view here. So within the New Haven Parks, I can also, this layer, I can also change how certain things look. And one of the specific aspects is the set visibility range. And so visibility, basically, as you come down here, you click on the three little dots, come down to set visibility range. Basically, it's whether your points are going to be visible at different scales of the map. And so right now, our map scale is 1 to 36,000, so it's related to, I believe it's pixels. And if I want my points to always be visible, usually I'll have it set at defaults. They're always going to be visible. But say I don't want them visible. So this is where we currently are, and if I zoom in, my visibility is a little closer. Say I don't want my points visible all the way up here. I only want them visible at different scales. And so I pulled my little slider above the little down triangle here. So now if I click on here, my points have disappeared. And then I zoom out again, and they come back up. And so this is kind of helpful if you want to change the visibility, if you have a lot of points and you want to zoom in or highlight a specific point at a specific scale. That's very helpful to play around with that. So that's kind of the basics of how to create a map. You can also save it. We're going to always save it. It's better to save it a little earlier than I did. So let's just say Parks in New Haven. You always have to put a tag in here, and let's just say Parks in New Haven. You do not have to put a description in, and this will save it to your content. So you can always go back to your content and find it. if you want to share it with people, so right now this is only within your material, so to share it, you come through here, and if you want to share it with everyone at Workspace or particular members of certain groups, you can be very specific with who to share it. So if you have it up here, you can now create a web app, which I go over in a different video. But if you want to embed it in a website, you need to make it public. And so making it public, there are other aspects to make sure it's a shared and an open map. But you share it with everyone, and you can now embed it in a website. So if you click on here, you can copy and paste the website this is the embed that you need to put into your website. But you can kind of also change the scale and a lot of other things, and I highly encourage you to play around with this.